I know so many people that think if I get my dream job, if I get my dream car, if I get my dream partner, I'm finally going to be happy. That is almost never the case. I know so many successful people that are pushing Ferraris that are absolutely miserable, that are dating the hottest Miami models that literally hate their life. Let me tell you why. Because they have focused on the absolute physical in order to bring them happiness. And when you're only focusing on the physical plane, which is our 3D reality, happiness is an immaterial. It is an immaterial entity. It's an emotion. And what is an emotion? An emotion is a frequency. And what is a frequency? A frequency is a vibration. If you can't tune into that, and you are just thinking that a Ferrari is going to make you happy, that your dream body is going to make you happy, you have it all wrong. I'm Cece Rose and welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about how, and I say this with complete conviction, I do believe that I am happier than 99% of the population. I also say that because I know that it's very easy to be stuck in the 3D reality of it all, to be very quick to be temperamental, to have a bad attitude when things are going your way, or even when things are going your way. Some people just quite literally don't know how to practice gratitude. I also have the awareness that there are people that are far more successful than me, and then there are people that are way less successful than me. Lord bless them all, but there are quite literally people in Gaza that have no families anymore. Their houses have been obliterated. Like, they're all different forms of walks of life on this earth, living in the same timeline as me. I am completely aware of this. The reason that I'm sharing some of my tips with you guys is because I come from a childhood where it was not bad. People have had worse childhoods in their life. My family has a genetic disposition to be extremely argumentative, to have anger issues, to be very temperamental, to not have very good emotional regulation. And I was in the middle of that constantly. So as I grew up, I ended up being a little bit depressed. I was sleeping all the time. I had a very cynical way of viewing life. And it wasn't until after I ended up going to school and studying the brain that I started really to conceptualize the idea that reality is really a byproduct of your attitude and your actual voluntary perceptions and how you treat people and how you choose to maneuver in the world and how you decide to see things. Reality stems from you. It is exuded from you. It is something that you actually do have control of. You are not necessarily a victim of your reality. Of course, there are terrible things that happen in people's lives. I also have my traumas. Do I carry that with me throughout my life and decide to blame reality and in turn hurt myself and be a miserable, unhappy person that self-sabotages the rest of my life because of it? No. So we need to start taking accountability and understanding that we're not necessarily victims. If we want things to change, we have to change how we see things. Happiness is not physical and social media is not real, so let's just get that out of the way. Happiness is an immaterial, it's a emotion, it's a frequency. It's one of those things that is just such a phenomenon, but lucky enough it derives from your inner state, your inner subconscious, and your consciousness. It is one of those things that if you're having a bad day and you buy yourself a Chanel bag and you say, okay, finally I'm gonna be a lot happier because I bought that Chanel bag. No, you're just a little bit more excited. You are temporarily a little bit happy, but are you going to obtain that long-lasting, fulfilling, maintained happiness because you bought something in the physical realm? No. Happiness derives from, in my opinion, a peaceful mental state. It derives from someone who has a positive outlook on the world despite what has happened to them, despite what is going on. It derives from someone that has a positive self-perception. It derives from someone who is kind. It derives from someone who is a problem solver, who always thinks that things are going to work out for them. In order to fully respect yourself, you really need to understand that there's a process of which you must embark on in order to obtain a real long-lasting, fulfilling happiness that I feel like most people would quite literally dream to achieve, but it is extremely achievable if you just do the work. In order to achieve this, you need to first fine-tune your frequency. I do feel like there should be a class taught in schools about the importance of a positive attitude. Your attitude is quite literally a reflection of your own emotions And your emotions are a reflection of how you perceive yourself, and how you perceive yourself is also a reflection of how you perceive the world. When you have a good attitude about things, regardless of whether they're going your way or not, you exude a positive frequency. So we need to stop waking up thinking, okay, I mean, this job sucks, I'm broke, I have a terrible car, I'm fighting with my boyfriend, I'm fighting with my girlfriend. I have people that are close to me that every single time we catch up, they always say, my life sucks. When you start to affirm that in your life, you are vibrating already from a very low frequency. You're emitting a low frequency, and low vibrational things are continuously happening in your life because like attracts like. That is just a universal law. For example, in order to fine tune your frequency, you need to stop being so overly fucking reactive to everything. You need to practice emotional regulation. You need to wake up and think, okay, maybe my job is not necessarily aligned with my goals. How can I make these changes to better myself? We need to start speaking more so of what we want in our life into our life. And I know that that just sounds extremely simple, but it actually is just that. It's so simple that people completely overlook it. Stop waking up every day and thinking, damn, I live in this shit little town. I have a crummy little apartment. I don't have a nice car. I don't have a nice job. And start thinking to yourself, wow, I'm very grateful that I have what I have, but what can I do to make it better? I was never really the type to be completely satisfied with where I was, and that was not because I was not grateful. That was because I knew that I deserved more. And every single person listening to this YouTube video right now deserves more than what they have right now. Even if they have $10 million in the bank, you deserve more. We are just so blessed for even being on this earth in the first place that it would be actually disrespectful to say that people don't deserve more than to be extremely rich. We all deserve to be rich. We all deserve to have our dream cars. We all deserve to have our dream jobs. We deserve to be extremely successful in this world. The thing is that when you keep reaffirming in your reality that my life sucks and that this is going wrong and X, Y, and Z, it's giving you that. It just keeps giving you that because the universe is always listening. Whether or not you understand, you are always manifesting. And most of the time, if you're not being intentional, it's at a subconscious level. So when you say things like, my life sucks, bad things keep happening to me, the universe is listening and it just gives you that. In the Bible, the Lord says, ask and you shall receive. When you verbalize things into this world, you are creating a vibration, you are creating a frequency. You're also operating from an attitude, which is the origin of a vibratory frequency in the first place. And you are putting negativity into the world every time you say a negative comment about yourself, every time you say a negative comment about your life or your position or your perception, and that is just materializing. Did you ever realize that the people that are sitting there saying I can never catch a break literally can't fucking catch a break? They actually can't. They're actually in the same position. They're actually not progressing. They're not moving forward. They just keep reaffirming that into their reality. And this is the thing. You can pick and choose. So you can choose to be positive or you can choose to be negative. It takes a lot of reprogramming. It takes a lot of rewiring. It takes a lot of unlearning. And your thoughts about your life are quite literally shaping your life. In order to rewire your brain, you need to start talking more positively. And it goes beyond just the 3D of talking more positively. I know that people say that all the time. Look in the mirror, do your affirmations, practice self-love, X, Y, and Z. It's deeper than that. When you talk out loud, as I'm saying, it does omit a frequency. You want to be intentional when you say these things. If you want to learn to love your body, you need to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I love my body, and actually feel it from your heart. Because there's a thing called brain-heart coherence, and if you're only thinking it with your brain, but you're not actually quite literally really thinking it, and in order to really think something, you actually have to have an emotional basis behind the thought. It's just a weak thought that you're emitting into the universe and you're wasting your own time. You need to genuinely start to trick your brain, trick your being into loving yourself, into loving your reality, into understanding that you're worthy and that you deserve more in this life, to understand that you have the capability, if someone has something that you want, that you can have that too, because if they materialized it and they could have it, why could you not have it? You need to deeply feel these things in your bones. You will know when you're operating from a brain-heart coherence when you can feel it in your heart. Your heart has a higher vibratory frequency than even your brain does. And that's why it's so important to genuinely feel things with all of your being. Even Neville Goddard, who is a famous mystic in the 30s, said feeling is the secret. That's the only way that things are going to effectively materialize for you, and that's the only way that you're going to successfully rebuild the physiology in your brain. You are the problem and you are the answer. So when you catch yourself being extremely miserable, know that it's not a byproduct of the situation that you are in. You can't change the way that the wind blows, but you can change the sails. So if something bad happens, a great exercise is to tell yourself, okay, well, maybe this didn't go my way, but it's still a beautiful life. Maybe it's a bad day, but it's a great life. And to continuously tell yourself things are getting better, things are getting better. Every single day I tell myself good things are happening. Every single time in a situation that may not completely serve me, in a situation where things are a bit frustrating, might not go my way, I say, you know what, it's okay, I'll figure it out. I am such a positive person, and that has taken so much self-mastery. It was not an organic thing. This is something that I taught myself. You are your greatest teacher. If you really hone in on this is only going to benefit your life. Another great way to obtain happiness is to practice gratitude. Gratitude is so fucking important. Even when I was a little bit younger and had absolutely nothing, I was still so grateful for the opportunities that I had throughout my life, even if they weren't anything astronomical. They were nothing revolutionary. When I say opportunities, I mean I was working at a bar and I was making $50 a night when I was 18 years old, and I was so thankful for that. I was working at TJ Maxx when I was younger. I was bartending up until I was about 24. Sometimes I would make hundreds of dollars a night, and sometimes I would barely make anything, but I was still so grateful that I had the ability to make money on my own. So that accounts for if you work at McDonald's, if you're a janitor, or you're the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. You need to practice gratitude. Look around and be thankful, because they say that comparison is a thief of joy, but it depends on what you're comparing yourself to. It brings you down to earth so fast, and it also is one of the only things I feel like that can cure a bad mood. It's even the smallest things of, wow, I can actually get up out of my bed and my 2 legs work today. I'm so grateful that I have 2 legs. Like, we need to start being grateful for the underrated things that we have in our lives, because it gives you such a major reality check. You need to start looking at the little irrelevancies, things that are overlooked in your life, and start to really practice gratitude around those things, because those things will make you all around such a happier and more fulfilled person when you practice the awareness of it all. Really a great tool in self-mastery. I'm also going to tell you what not to do if you want to be a happier person. When you maneuver through life miserable, in a bad mood, it also constitutes for being extremely judgmental, giving people attitude because you're not in a good mood, which also constitutes for emotional dysregulation. When you bully people and you try to make them feel bad, these are things that do not correlate with a genuinely happy person. Happy people, and I actually saw this in an interview at one point, and it stuck with me throughout my whole social media career. A woman had said, when I was miserable and didn't do the self-work necessary to be a happier person, I would go under successful people's pictures on social media and I would comment negative things. Nobody that is happy with themselves is commenting anything negative on anything of mine. So it's one of those things where you're kind of outing yourself when you comment something trying to bully me or put me down, or anyone in this world for that matter. It is one of those things where you are just projecting your insecurities on someone else. And I do feel like the internet is a bunch of traumatized people trying to traumatize other people. Happy people don't operate like that. You would never catch me commenting something mean on anybody's anything. You would never catch me bullying somebody in person. You would never catch me internet bullying, which is even worse, even more embarrassing. It's just one of those things that when you're happy, you are so kind of engulfed and encompassed in your own world and your own perceptions of things, and you're content in your life, and you're too busy enjoying yourself to ever sit and spread negativity and low vibrations into someone else's world in hopes that that negatively affects them to the same level that you are negatively affected in your life, because misery loves company. I encourage you to spread more positivity. It doesn't make your life just easier for you. It does not just make you a better person. It is an actual snowball effect of you positively impacting other people as well. It strengthens the relationship with, obviously, not just you to yourself, but you to your mom, and you to your sister, and you to your friend, and you to your boyfriend or girlfriend. It strengthens so many relationships, which in turn changes your entire world to be a more positive and peaceful place to exist in. A common denominator also in happy people is that they have this unshakable self-belief. They know that if someone else has something, that they can have it too. They're not coveting. They don't look at someone in a red Ferrari and think, wow, I wish that I had that red Ferrari, why can't I have that? And then they get miserable, and then they emit this negative frequency all throughout the day, and they have a low self-belief, and they have a low self-perception, and that's affecting everyone in their world over the fact that they don't have something that someone else has. A happy person sees that someone has a Ferrari and thinks to themselves, wow, I wonder what type of work it took for that person to achieve that, and if I do that, I can also have that. Why is it that things are so indoctrinated to be more complicated than that in our life? Society wants to make it seem like things are more of a struggle than they really are. In reality, if you, regardless of your situation, I did not grow up rich, just so you are aware. I did not grow up in a traditional household, also, just so you're aware. I have completely broke the mold in my family, in my situation that I was dealt with. You are not always just dealt a deck of cards, and that's the deck of cards that you are supposed to be carried with you your entire life. You can break the mold if you would like to. It depends on the type of person you are. You should be more ambitious than to stay in a low vibrational situation. You should just be ambitious about life and go after what you want, and it is quite literally that simple. And people want to say that it's some sort of delusionality, and if they want to call it being delusional, then that is quite literally on them. But I've noticed the people that poke fun at it and the people that say that that type of mindset is delusional is the people that just don't have the self-belief. It's the miserable people that just take what they're given, and then they're just content with that. Me, I just vibrate off of this energy that people can do whatever they want in this life. And there is nothing wrong with having an unshakable self-belief. That is a byproduct of being happy, is knowing that there's no limitations on what you can do in this world. It's silly to me to think that people put themselves down so much and make it seem like thinking that you can do anything that you want in this world, thinking you can have anything you want in this world, is such a delusion. It's such an out of reach concept that they quite literally put themselves down, and as a byproduct of that, they have a low self-confidence, and a byproduct of that, they're just a miserable, unhappy person, and it just originated from their mindset in the first place. So change your mindset about the things that you can achieve in this world. A happy person also treats others with respect, so this coincides with the idea of internet bullying in real life, being negative and mean to other people. A happy person realizes that the way that they treat other people is a direct reflection and a direct mirror of how they feel internally. So when you move through life and you're mean to people, I mean, to me, if you're aware enough, you realize, okay, that person does not like themselves. They do not like their situation. They're miserable. They have a low self-perception, XYZ. I know that you hate yourself if you're mean to me for no reason. I know that. I know that you are lacking something that I have, and that's why you're being disrespectful to me if it's completely unwarranted and it's for no reason. That is a dead giveaway. A happy person moves through life and they treat people kind. They treat people with respect. They also have this self-awareness to know everyone is going through something. Some people are not as mentally strong as you are, and you have to give them that. It's a process, and some people just never get there. Some people are extremely emotionally fragile. Some people are very sensitive. It is worth your morale to be respectful and to be kind to everyone. People don't remember what you say to them, but they do remember how you made them feel. It really does translate a different energy. You can tell when you're around someone without them even saying anything if they're miserable or not. You can tell if you're around someone without them even saying anything if they're angry or if they're irritable. It's important to start being emotionally intelligent, please. You move through the world irritable and angry, and because of that, mistreat people that you don't even know. Your fit of rage, it really exhibits a low emotional intelligence, and as I've said before, it just exhibits an unhappy person, and it's really not what we're trying to exude here. People deserve respect. It's everybody's first time on earth too, that I know of, and a happy person understands the importance of being genuinely kind to others. The most important aspects of achieving happiness is being able to maintain. In order to do so, start to realize when you get in a bad mood, or when you get irritable, or when you get angry, whether it be with someone else or whether it just be in your inner matrix, and start to lower the refractory period of that. Try to catch yourself, raise your awareness. When you start to get mad about a little instability in life, start to catch yourself before it goes too far, which is why I call it lowering the refractory period, and realize it's not that deep. It's not going to be that difficult. You're going to figure it out. You're going to bounce back. Things are exactly how they should be. Things are great. Start talking more positively and completely negate the negative vibrations that you would have and your old self would have introduced into that situation in the first place. Start to make changes. You deserve to be happy as much as the next person, and you are the originator of that happiness, and you're also the originator of the unhappiness that you may experience. So stop being a victim, start taking control of the reins, start realizing that your mental is quite literally up to you. Life is not supposed to be a struggle. Why would you identify with that? When people say to me, oh, life is hard, why? Why is life hard? And I did not even come from the easiest background. I don't need to get into the details of it to say I don't identify with that. I don't want to identify with that. So why would I walk around saying life is hard? It's the same when people say love is hard. Why is love hard? Why are all these things that are such actual blessings supposedly indoctrinated in our minds to be difficult? It's not. It's just really not. Once you find your rhythm, you will flow with things and realize these things are actually easy. To be in love with a good partner and a healthy relationship is easy. To have a good, successful, fulfilling life is easy. Start telling yourself things are easy. Start telling yourself if you want to start a business, starting a business is easy. Being successful is easy. Being attractive is easy. Being confident is easy. Start relearning how you identify with things. Start relearning how you associate with things. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that you're able to apply it in your life. I'm extremely happy that I was able to take some of these aspects and apply it to my own life. Please like and subscribe if you did find it helpful. I was never asking people to like and subscribe beforehand, but I've noticed that I get a decent amount of views and not as many subscribers, and then I'm equating it to the idea that I also consume so much YouTube and I'm literally not subscribed to like anyone. So it's one of those things, might be an afterthought, but please subscribe. I would appreciate it so much. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video.